So overall, we're trying to install the Hansshow Frunk lift kit, which will bring 2 linear struts to both sides of the frunk, so it'll automatically open versus just pop. So what you have to do is you can remove the tub. I did, so you can run the wiring correctly, because you're going to get back here in the vehicle. One of the interesting things you'll notice is this thing here is always broken. This is the key fob antenna. Notice the ears here and here are broken. You'll see these on eBay, and they'll show it with the ears broken. I think it vibrates and breaks here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to manufacture an aluminum part or a thick plastic part, most likely aluminum, right across here. And it shouldn't have an effect of a Faraday cage effect, because this side will still be broadcasting out, but the aluminum might block the signal. And we're going to replace the ears here and then glue this to that aluminum plate and screw it back into here and here. So these always break, and this flops around and it gets this noise. So if you see noise in your car, it's probably that. So anyway, to get to the lock mechanism, you have to remove this front piece. You all recognize it. My car has the nose cone, so it's a 2015, March 2015, 85D, so it's an all-wheel drive. It's the front motor, Model S. But to get that off, there's a rivet here. Those rivets look like this. Little cap, a little bit of a pry area here, and it kind of spreads apart. So how to get those out? Get your tool, preferably one of these, kind of pull in there and gently pull it out, and that'll pop out, and that'll pop out. Now, then the rest of it will come out if you pop these white tabs. If you can see them, right? They'll fit into the holes here and here. So think about it being attached there. So then in that case, I would say get this tool out, right? So jam it underneath, and you do this, and it pushes down and also pulls up, and that should separate that tab without breaking. And there's like, I think 6 there. Let's count them. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you pop 7 of them, and this thing comes out, and you have exposure to the unit, which you can then take out with the 2 10mm bolts. So okay, so let's keep going, and we'll start to install the electronics and the 2 linear struts. This is the front of the Tesla. You don't necessarily have to remove the entire front end, but you probably want to run the wires. But the piece in the front, when we get to the latch, is you have to remove these 10mm bolts that are bolting it here and here. There's a hole here and a hole there. With 10mm bolt, remove these and the thing will come out. When it comes out, it'll look like this. And the Hansshow Power Frunk has this mechanism. Do you see this hole and this little key here? The hole, you can see it, will get bolted there through where the 10mm bolt would go. And then this little piece here at the end of the cable, this little cut, will fit in here. All right, it's that little thing there. So what we're going to do is we have to remove this spring. The spring is too strong. So we're going to use this really big hook. It's a gear wrench. Gonna put it in here. Like so. Wow, that's really hard. Let me pull it off camera and I'll tell you when it's done. Okay, and so now we're gonna mount the linear actuators. So it's really interesting. If you look at the piece here, this piece of metal clip that you see there, you just pry that back, and that releases the clasp. So think about a round ball going into this clasp, and this is kind of grabbing the bottom of the round ball. This little clamp here. So in order to remove it, you need to pull this clamp up so that the ball can come in and out. So the maximum diameter of the ball can come in and out, and there's no constriction to hold the ball in. But when the strut is new like this, you just push under the ball, and this thing will open up and snap around the ball. This is what this will do. So the one that's there, we're gonna have to pry this piece of metal. So if you put a screw right here and you pull it back, and that'll release it. But then when that's released, the hood might fall. So we'll have to use our head and hold it up. So let's do that right now. And that pulls it out. I don't want to get hurt. I'm gonna jam a rod in here. Just in case. Okay, it's actually not that heavy. It's made of aluminum. Good job by Tesla. So here's the ball. You can see the ball. Take this, just push. And you do here. And there you go. So in removing it, you have to just shift the piece of metal so that the obviously the diameter of the opening is then, think of a cylinder going all the way in. If this is pushed in, like here, but if you snap it back in, then think of that cylinder as being constricted on this side. So if a ball went in, it will prevent the ball from coming back out. Unique to a strut. So if you just push it up, pull it out, and the new one, you can leave the clip right where it is. You push and it'll open up and snap onto the ball. So that's this side. We'll do the same on the other side, and the wires are to run down on the bottom of the strut. And so that goes into our electronics package. So those are the tops of the struts. You can see it. Maybe it wasn't clear earlier, but that piece of metal is the clamp that kind of goes around the ball that's here. So if you think about it, when this is pushed up, that clamp is open. So the hole between the opening here and the end is like a cylinder, the diameter of that ball, so the ball slide right in. But when the clamp is pushed in this position, it'll clamp around and make the cylinder slightly smaller. So it'll clamp on the back side of the ball, retaining it from coming off. So when you remove these, you push this up to open the hole and it comes right off. But when you push these new ones on, you push this thing back down here because it is a spring clamp. So it's smaller than the diameter of the ball. When you push, the diameter of the ball opens up the spring. When you hear a click, and then the spring clamps around the back side of the ball. And therefore it attaches. So when you attach them, you don't have to move this clamp, just push and hear click. So those are the two linear struts that are installed. So let's get the rest of the pieces in and see how it works. So this is the cable. So this will plug into the brain of the Hansshow Frunk. There's two wires. One is this one, this red and white. This will plug into the plug that goes into the latch, and this will plug into one of the motors that I think unlocks the latch. So this blue one doesn't match a blue one in the vehicle, a blue plug. So let's put these in and see how that works. So overall in the front of the car, the red plug will go here and tap into that. And the other plug, we look into the bay here. So that's the driver's side, and this is the passenger side. This one, which plugs right here to this motor, because a solenoid comes up through this wire and pulls on this thing here. So we'll unplug it here, and that's where the blue plug will go. So let's put those in right now. Okay, so let's put in the red and white attachment. So here's the plug. It's a tap. You grab down here, and there's like a little tab. Push that in, and it'll come right out. Plug it in there. Okay, and that'll be installation of that. So let's go over and look at the other one. Okay, so that's this one down. Not sure if you can see this down here, but here's the original plug, which will plug in here like this. It's got waterproofing on it. Okay, and then this will plug up, and there's the thing we want to plug into. So we grab this plug here, so you can see, push up, there's this tab, and you see this the rubber here, which makes it waterproof. So we go put it right here. Hear the click. And then we just wire tie that in. So that's the two plugs you have to put in. And then this is the overall brain right here, and that's the plug. So you can see these two big wires here are the two actuators, and there's a power plug in here, and then there's a connector, I believe it's this one, and this is connecting up the wire we just plugged in for the two positions. It's got its own plug, and it plugs in there. So yeah, and that's the receptacle that goes in. So we'll have to find a place for this. And I think that's really it. Tie it to power and let's see if it works. Adhesive pad so we don't have to block the serial numbers. And we're gonna basically glue it here because the frunk, I mean, you see there's a pad here. There's a rubber pad that lands right here and over on that side. And then we're gonna run the wires by zip tying underneath that metal bar. Yeah, and then we'll try to maybe put that piece probably somewhere down in there, and then we should be good. So yeah, I was test fitting the plastic here to see how the wire would run. So kind of do this, it can go under. So we'll go with that for now, and so we wind up. So we're going to hit that with anhydrous isopropyl alcohol, which will strip away any kind of oil and stuff, and then that should stick really well. So we stuck it on, but we also wrapped a zip tie around here, through here, and around, just in case if the glue there ever fails. We don't want it kind of rocking around in there, but it should be fine. You don't really need that zip tie, but I put it in anyway. So that's what it looks like so far. So let's keep going. Installed the struts. We installed the brain. The wires are wrapped in. We have the cabling here, but that wire which runs to that motor unit thing, if you pull on the release cable, nothing happens. And then we've got everything tied in, so we do this. It'll close. It'll open, but I don't think the thing at the bottom is working, because that doesn't seem to be moving and it's plugged in, so I don't know what's going on. So that thing there. With most of it installed, we have to configure this. Previously, it looks like the suction motor there wasn't quite working, and what that's doing is it's adding a feature where it's doing such a soft close, it's pulling in the hood when it closes. So in order to test that, they don't tell you this in the instruction manual, but on the unit, there's a button right here. So if you press it twice, this button here, press it twice, this will move. That's due to the suction mode. So you can test the suction mode works by doing 2 presses. Right? And so for that, it's like, oh, it works. So once you do that, you have to go back to the button here and then press it and hold it until you hear 3 beats, which is a slow, and then like 4, 5, or 6 beats means faster and faster and faster closing. I'm using the slow, which is could be 2 beeps. So once you do that test, you'll have to hold this down and to set the closing speed of the hood, and you have to do both of those in order for this to work. Otherwise, the latch doesn't seem to want to close. So that's the programming that I found here. So hold this down. That's 1. That's 3. Okay, so that means slow. So with that, let's see what happens. That click was to reset the lock. Oh, looks like it worked. There's these new linear motor actuators on both sides. There's a power unit and a couple wires you have to put in. There's like a new suction motor there, which you have to tie in, and then I tied the box right there. If you can see it, the box is right there, and I have these big zip ties. The reason why is see the wire? We want to kind of do a big loop back here, and then go to the hood latch. Otherwise, the cable would be just too kinked. So this is just, it comes out just a big loop and comes right back in. So it's best to just kind of zip tie it right there underneath the front of the car and not somewhere else. So that concludes it. Putting everything back together now. The ear is destroyed on that antenna loop, as you can see. We're gonna make a little bracket. We're gonna then glue this onto it and then screw it back in because the ears are all gone. And I think a new one will just break at the ears anyway. But yeah, we laid out our die, and we're gonna drill the center out and cut this out. I would have CNC'd it, but my CNC isn't quite up right now, so we'll do it by hand. You think about the Faraday cage effect, right? But it's only gonna block up one side, and we'll put a hole in it, so I think it should be okay. Yeah, otherwise I think it'll just come off again. It's the antenna. So you notice how the ears are gone, right? So basically, we're gonna glue it on like this to replace the ears. And there you go. It should work well. And I don't think this piece of metal, which is I think we used 1/8 of an inch thick aluminum, will matter in here. The purple stuff is the layout die you put on all metal, and it's scribed with a tungsten scribe to make sure we can see it. And that's why I'm going to remove that so we can glue it together. But yeah, you see how the dog-eared little pieces? I think that'll just keep breaking because I think these are just too brittle. But this will definitely never break, and we'll glue this onto it like this and screw it in. Okay? The last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to throw into this vibratory tumbler and get rid of all the sharp edges. Finished result after the tumbling. It's pretty nice on this side. So let's stick this in. The ears kind of falling off, and like that. Then we go and reinstall. I recommend you look at yours. Most likely your antenna ears have cracked off and have failed as well. That's our new part. So we cut away as much as we could to make sure there's EMF going through the center. Obviously, with these nice thick ears, it'll screw in very well and won't come off. We use very, very strong double-sided industrial adhesive here. So that's the new part. Ultimately, the ears should have been just metal to begin with, but I guess they're not. Let's kind of zoom out. That's where it sits. The front of the car, double press here, usually opens the trunk. But now, the linear actuators will now open the trunk for you, and then the suction motor we've added allows it to do a soft close. So closing looks like this. Fantastic. Let's take a look at the Hansshow Tesla Frunk automation system. They have it for the 3, the Y, the X, and also the S.